my name is Diana Navarez, and I'll be talking about HIV and AIDS. First, let's define them. Human immunodeficiency virus, also known as HIV, attacks cells in the immune system, which are CD4 cells or T cells, since those cells are white blood cells that fight against infections. HIV does put a person more at risk to other infections and cancers. Ways to contract HIV include unprotected sex with someone who has already been infected with HIV, any blood-to-blood contact/transfusion, and or from childbirth/breastfeeding or during pregnancy. AIDS is also known as acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, which is caused by HIV, and it's the final stage. I'll talk more in depth about this stage in the next slide. The stages of HIV. The first stage is acute HIV, which usually appears about 4 weeks after the initial infection of HIV. The symptoms are similar to flu symptoms like fever, rash, and chills. To get diagnosed with the first stage, a person must take a nucleic acid test. The second stage is chronic HIV. There might be no symptoms in this stage, though the amount of immune system cells do significantly decrease while HIV cells increase. The last stage is AIDS. In this stage, the immune system is severely damaged, and without medication, a person can possibly survive 3 years. Let's talk about the brief history. SIV, also known as simian immunodeficiency virus, is a virus found in chimpanzees. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the HIV infection had possibly came from humans hunting chimpanzees in Central Africa for meat in the late 1800s. The first established case of AIDS was reported in 1981. Before heavy research on AIDS occurred, there has always been that stigma on AIDS where a person can get it from casual contact or being close to someone who has AIDS. As discussed before, you can't catch AIDS. AIDS comes from HIV, which we discussed ways that one can contract HIV. Even today, many patients still suffer emotionally and socially with HIV and AIDS. There was a 2015 study that found patients with HIV/AIDS in Iran expressed depression, frustration, and anxiety of that social stigma on the disease, as well as family and social exclusion. When it comes to medications, there's no official cure for HIV and AIDS. As of recent times, there is still a high amount of people diagnosed with HIV and AIDS around the world. In 2019, around 1,189,700 people from ages 13 and up have been diagnosed with HIV in the United States. In those numbers, 7.8% were males, while 22.2% were females. In terms of race/ethnicity, the highest percentages were Black/African American, white, and Hispanic/Latino. Around the world in 2020, there are around 37.6 million people living with HIV. In that same year, about 690,000 people died from illnesses related to AIDS. The primary prevention strategy is educating people on HIV and ways to prevent getting the virus, like using condoms or getting tested for HIV. Also, there's medication such as PrEP or Truvada that reduces one's risk of getting HIV by stopping the virus from spreading in the body. The secondary prevention strategy is getting tested for HIV and taking steps to ensure that the disease doesn't get passed to another person. An example would be informing partners to get past partners to get tested if you are tested positive for HIV. The tertiary prevention strategy is getting treatment such as FDA approved medications. Medications include Rucobia and Cabenuva, which slows down the progress stage of HIV. As discussed before, HIV and AIDS continues to infect millions of people around the world since 1981. There is still much new research on medications for HIV, and there have been research of finding a cure. Until then, it's crucial to inform others of HIV and AIDS, as well as opening more resources like medications towards those who currently have HIV and AIDS. Thank you so much.